Chapter 1. Hidden evidence of injury. Sarah's hand trembled as she gripped the phone. Her fingertips slid across the medical record photos. She lowered her voice to a whisper. Sister Eve, look at this review report. Mr. Thomas's right ring and pinky fingers have been numb for 5 months. Yet the surgical record clearly states good postoperative recovery. This is completely false. Eve stared at the neurological function test data on the screen. Her heart pounding. The location of Thomas's injury corresponded exactly to the hidden vulnerability she had left in the original cyst. That vulnerability would cause the system to miscalculate tiny nerve branches in the brain. A vulnerability only revealed during extremely complex heart-brain cooperation surgeries. When was the surgery? Eve demanded. It was the first surgery Jason performed after skipping 3 high-risk tests. Sarah's voice was tinged with tears. He didn't care about the patient's life or death to meet deadlines. Eve immediately had Sarah encrypt the medical records and review report and send them to her. After hanging up, she spent the night comparing the vulnerability parameters with the extent of the injury. When the data matched perfectly, she clenched her fists. This not only proved a flaw in the system, but also exposed Jason's true nature of disregarding patient safety for profit. But her excitement was quickly replaced by worry. Sarah explained that Jason had already asked Lillian to review her medical record borrowing history, and had even indirectly asked her if she'd seen any. One strange, Eve quickly messaged Sarah. Stop checking. Protect yourself. I'll take care of the rest. Chapter 2. Finding a key witness. After reviewing the evidence Eve submitted, the lawyer tapped his fingertips on the medical records. The vulnerability analysis and medical records proved there's a problem with the system. But without patient testimony, regulators won't file a case. Thomas signed a confidentiality agreement. Will he speak? Eve looked at the first page of the medical records. Thomas White, middle school music teacher, and suddenly had an idea. How important is a music teacher's right hand? With the vulnerability analysis report in hand, she found Thomas's residential complex according to the address in the medical records. But she didn't dare visit him. She was afraid a direct visit would alert him. There was a piano shop near the neighborhood, and Eve staked out the spot for 3 days straight. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, a man in a gray windbreaker walked into the shop. He had a wrist brace on his right wrist. As he sat at the piano to try playing, his ring and pinky fingers remained stiffly suspended. Mr. Thomas. Eve approached gently. I'm Eve, a former cardiologist at the City Center Hospital. I know something went wrong with your surgery. Thomas turned sharply, his eyes wary. How did you know? The hospital said it was confidential. The confidentiality was to cover up a flaw in the system. Eve handed over the report. I developed the core technology for this system. Jason stole it and concealed the vulnerability. Your hand was damaged by the flawed system. Thomas' eyes grew red as he looked at the data on the report. He put down the piano, his voice hoarse. The doctor said I might never be able to play piano again. I've been teaching piano for 20 years, and now I can't even play the complete for Elise. If you're willing to testify, Eve handed him a tissue. I can help you apply for a medical malpractice assessment and have the hospital cover all recovery costs, giving you justice. Thomas was silent for a long time, then finally gritted his teeth and nodded. Okay. I'll sue them with you. Chapter 3. Obstruction by regulators. The lawyer, armed with Thomas's testimony and evidence, submitted a complaint to the medical regulator. But a week later, he came to Eve with bad news. The regulatory authorities said that the Central Hospital submitted rebuttal materials. Jason provided a test report showing the system was flawless. And the director even signed a certificate stating the hospital was operating in compliance. They're not filing a case for now. The test report is fake. Eve stood up in anger. He skipped high-risk cases. Conventional testing wouldn't have revealed any flaws. But the director's certificate has the hospital's official seal, and the regulatory authorities are more inclined to trust institutions within the system, the lawyer said helplessly. Unless we can find a more public and convincing way to make the truth known to more people. Eve sat at her computer, flipping through the Guardian 2.0 test video, feeling frustrated. She had spent 3 months optimizing the system, fixing vulnerabilities, and even applying for an independent patent, but she couldn't even get through to the regulatory authorities. Just then, the office door opened, and Mark, CEO of Kanglian Technology, walked in with a gilded invitation. Eve, the Global Medical Innovation Summit is being held in our city next week, and the organizers have invited us to showcase our technology. This is a chance for the world to see Guardian 2.0. Eve's eyes suddenly lit up as she looked at the invitation. Mr. Mark, could we schedule our presentation after the Central Hospital? Mark, though perplexed, nodded. No problem. I'll talk to the organizers. Chapter 4, Pre-Summit Gambling. Jason quickly learned from Lillian that Kanglian Technology would be showcasing its surgical navigation system at the summit, and Eve would be the presenter. He sat in his office, his fingers gripping his pen so tightly that the tip poked a hole in the paper. We can't let her ruin the summit. Jason immediately called the summit organizers. Eve has been suspended for medical malpractice. Her technical credibility is questionable. You should disqualify her from presenting. As expected, the organizers hesitated and emailed Mark that afternoon, suggesting a replacement presenter to avoid compromising the professionalism of the summit. Mark approached Eve with the email, his brow furrowed. They're clearly under pressure from Jason. What should we do? I'll handle it. Eve opened her email and attached a video of the clinical trial of Guardian 2.0, in which the new system successfully avoided complications in 3 high-risk surgeries along with Patent Office's acceptance notice. The credibility of my technology cannot be determined by Jason's rumors. Eve wrote in the email, if you cancel my presentation, I will immediately disclose the evidence to all medical media outlets, including insider information about attempts to suppress innovative technology and cover up academic misconduct. After receiving the email, the organizers remained silent for a long time before finally responding. Conlink Technology will retain its presentation and proceed as planned. Jason was so angry when he heard the news that he threw his phone to the ground. Lillian quickly came over to comfort him. Don't be angry. We'll demonstrate it first on the day of the summit and establish our image as the original creator. No matter what she says, she's just following the trend and imitating. Jason took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, I want everyone to know she's just a plagiarist. Chapter 5, the first half of the summit. On the day of the summit, the Central Hospital booth was packed. Jason wore a custom-made suit with a core developer badge pinned to his chest. Lillian stood beside him, tablet in hand, a polite smile on her face. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason said, his voice booming through the speakers as he took the microphone. This heart-brain collaborative minimally invasive surgery navigation system behind me is the RAISE. Alt of 5 years of research and development. To date, It has been successfully used in 50 complex surgeries, with a post-operative complication rate of less than 5%, reaching a world-leading level. The audience erupted in applause, and several investors leaned forward, whispering about the details of the partnership. Lillian pulled up the surgical video just in time. Look, everyone. This is a combined brain-heart surgery performed last week, using our system. The surgery time was shortened by 30 minutes, and the patient was able to get out of bed the next day. Jason glanced triumphantly around the room, his eyes searching the crowd. He wanted to see Eve's distress, the despair she felt when she realized she couldn't turn over. But even after he finished explaining the technical principles and was about to demonstrate the system's operation, Eve was nowhere to be seen. She definitely didn't dare come, Lillian whispered in Jason's ear. She knew she couldn't beat you, so she just hid. Jason's lips curled into a cold smile, and he was about to announce his intention to collaborate when the summit host suddenly took the stage. Next, let's welcome Dr. Eve, Kanglian Technologies' Chief Technology Officer. She will be demonstrating the Guardian 2.0, Minimally Invasive Surgical Navigation System. Chapter 6, The Peak Showdown begins. The audience fell silent for a moment, then erupted in an uproar. Jason's smile froze. He turned sharply to see Eve, dressed in a white suit and holding a tablet, calmly walking onto the stage. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Eve's voice was clear and firm. The large screen behind her immediately lit up with the Guardian 2.0 interface. The system I'm introducing today is a new version of the original heart-brain collaborative navigation technology, optimized with AI deep learning. It features two core upgrades. One fixes 3 hidden vulnerabilities in the original system, and the other adds multi-organ collaborative simulation capabilities. With a flick of her finger, a comparison of the core code of the two systems appeared on the screen. As you can see, the basic framework of Guardian 2.0 is highly similar to the system I just demonstrated because the core algorithm of the original system was developed by me. However, my code includes a unique error correction module, which is the key component missing from the original system and caused the patient's neurological damage. Nonsense! Jason stormed onto the stage, pointing at the screen and roaring. You plagiarized my work. How could a suspended doctor like you develop such a system? He pulled out his phone and pulled up the hospital's suspension notice. Look, everyone. She's been suspended for medical malpractice. Her character is questionable, and her words are unbelievable. The audience erupted in discussion. Some took out their phones to take photos, while others quietly questioned Eve's identity. Eve remained calm. She raised her hand, signaling for silence. Whether I was negligent or not depends on the evidence. Whether my technique is original also depends on the evidence. Dr. Jason, do you dare to face this evidence? Chapter 7, The Crushing Chain of Evidence. With a flick of her finger, Thomas's medical records and follow-up report appeared on the large screen. His name and address were censored, but the surgery time, injury site, and neurological examination data were clearly visible. This patient was the first surgery Dr. Jason performed using the original system after skipping the high-risk testing. Eve's voice pierced everyone's ears through the speakers. The location and severity of the nerve damage in his right hand perfectly matched the hidden vulnerability in the original system. Dr. Jason, do you dare call this a coincidence? Jason's face paled instantly. He tried to grab Eve's tablet, but was stopped by venue security. This is forged, he roared. The medical records are fake. The damage has nothing to do with my system. Listen to this recording to see if it's fake or not. Eve clicked on a clip, and Jason's drunken voice instantly filled the room. What's the big deal about that vulnerability? Routine testing wouldn't have revealed it. We can fix it once we make money, that fool Eve. Did she really think I'd share my findings with her? Sarah had recorded this in the hospital bar that day. Jason and Lillian were celebrating their investment, and they were drunk and talking without restraint. Lillian's face paled, and she stepped forward. This recording is fake. Eve, stop slandering me. Fake? Eve pulled up another email log. These are emails between Jason and me from 3 years ago. They include screenshots of me explaining the core algorithm to him, and him pleading with me to share the code for optimization. These emails predate his claim of independent development by 2 years. The experts in the audience immediately gathered around. A professor from Harvard Medical School adjusted his glasses and pointed at the code, based on the logic and timeline. Dr. Eve was the core developer of the original system. This vulnerability does exist. Concealing it and skipping testing violated medical research standards. Just then, footsteps sounded at the entrance to the conference room. A medical regulatory official approached Jason with an investigation notice. Dr. Jason, we've received a report suspecting you of academic misconduct and medical malpractice. Please come back with us and cooperate with the investigation. Chapter 8, Justice Returns and a New Beginning. Jason's legs went limp, and he slumped down on the stage, his eyes blank. Seeing this, Lillian turned and tried to escape, but was surrounded by reporters. Miss Lillian, did you already know Jason had plagiarized technology? Did the dean help you conceal the medical incident? Amid the chaos, someone relayed the news. Upon learning about the summit, the dean's blood pressure soared, and he was rushed to the hospital. After the summit, Guardian 2.0 unsurprisingly won the Global Medical Innovation Award. Several top hospitals extended partnership offers to Eve, and Kanglian Technologies' stock price soared 30% that day. Mark patted Eve on the shoulder and excitedly said, "You are our lucky star. Together, we will promote Guardian 2.0 globally and benefit more patients." Soon after, medical regulators announced the results of their investigation. Jason's license was revoked for academic misconduct, medical record tampering, and medical malpractice. And he faces legal action from Thomas. The dean was suspended for investigation for abuse of power and covering up violations. Lillian was fired from the hospital, and no other medical institution dared to hire her again. Eve's license to practice was restored, but she declined the offer from the major hospital, choosing to stay at Kanglian Technology. She also joined forces with Sarah and others to establish the Medical Practitioners' Rights Alliance. Their office is filled with banners, all sent by the medical professionals they helped. A year later, Eve gave a speech at an international medical forum. In the first row, Thomas, dressed in a suit and no longer wearing a wristband on his right hand, smiled at Eve and gave her an okay sign. After rehabilitation, he had returned to the podium and was teaching a new class of piano students. Eve looked at him, then at the Guardian 2.0 open source code scrolling on the large screen behind her. She smiled and said, "The essence of medicine is protecting lives. The meaning of innovation is to make this protection more precise and fair. May we all remain true to our original aspiration and not allow profit to taint the mission of medicine." Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. Sunlight filtered through the window, casting a warm golden glow on Eve. She knew she had won this battle for justice and conscience. The road to safeguarding medical equity has just begun.